comes to screen time, parents usually associate it with vision. They say कि okay, the child watches TV, उसका आँख खराब हो जाएगा and all those things. But there are a lot of other things which are associated with that, which are kind of invisible to a parent's eye. The child will not sleep on time, not have a peaceful sleep. Eating pattern, definitely it will go for a toss. Their behavior towards people will go for a toss.
Parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.
As parents of infants starting a mother-toddler program, when you're starting your child's first day at play school, there's so much anxiety that actually goes on within the child, of course, but of course within the parent's mind. Where is the right age to start school? Why are kids at that age so clingy? How are we battling screen at that age with kids? And just so many other questions that you may have as a parent to an under 3 or under 5-year-old, and I'm sure that you have been struggling to find those answers. We have a very, very special guest today who's not only a mom herself, but she's also a child psychologist, early child educator, an influencer, and of course, like I said, she runs her own school, which is commendable because she's not dealing just with her own child, she's dealing with so many kids who are coming into that school. So Vidya Panicker, welcome to the Kids Talk Press podcast.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, what are the top 3 concerns that parents have today when they're coming to you at school and sharing with you? What would be some of them?
Yeah. So top 3, I mean the first and most important is definitely screen time, which I think is very inevitable in this generation. Maybe because the parents are working and nobody is there to take care of the child at home, and you're giving the tab, and over the period of time it becomes an addiction where the child is just glued to screen time. And what we have noticed is a lot of exposure to screen time also leads to a lot of delays in children, which I am facing in my school also. So there are children who comes with a lot of speech delay and less attention span and all those things. So definitely screen time is something which they all are struggling with. Next is socialization. So post pandemic, like earlier also the amount of time that children used to go out and play was very less. Now it has reduced to such a level that children, they don't know how to socialize. Let's say not going and talking to anybody, but even if someone is playing in the group, they don't prefer sitting in the group and playing along with them. So, and they freak out when they see a large crowd and all those things. So socialization is something which parents come with a concern, and I say ki, all these things start solving when you start introducing your child to these things. Like you feel your child is not socializing, take your child more to places where there are their age children, peers, send them to school, or if you don't want to send to school, send them to playground, and be there where children, only when they start experiencing, they'll start building that skill, right? So these 2 things are there. And the third one is, I'll say it's like little silly, but as parents we feel that things like throwing or running around the room or having low attention span, my child is not sitting and doing an activity, all these things, they feel like it's a big concern. But if you dig deep and you check, all these are part of their development. So a child not sitting and doing activity for a long time, because the child is not meant for that. So if you scientifically speak about attention span of a child, it's 2 times to 3 times of their age. So if I say if it's a 2-year-old child, you can expect the child to sit only for 4 to 6 minutes, and you're trying to make your child sit and do for half an hour, the child can't take it. After that, they lose their attention and they want to run around. So these are certain things which maybe parents are not aware of, but then they expect the child to, do all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me also the big question, like I think you already mentioned about screens. How do you go about telling parents that are especially at your school on addressing this part of it?
Yeah. So, when it comes to screen time, parents usually associate it with vision. They say, okay, the child watches TV, uska aankh kharab ho jayega and all those things. But there are a lot of other things which are associated with that, which are kind of invisible to a parent's eye. For example, disturbed sleep. The child will not have a proper sleep. The child will not sleep on time. Even if the child is sleeping, he will not have a peaceful sleep. He'll keep on, moving around, sitting, going here and there. Then eating pattern, definitely it will go for a toss. Their behavior towards people will go for a toss, and everything. So I always tell the parent ki, okay, like give them some play area, or give them something, like we say open ended toys like blocks, magna tiles and all, because with that the child can sit and play for like hours and hours together. So give them those things, have minimal amount of screen time. And even if you are giving screen time, even if your child is like screaming I need screen time, and maybe half an hour or whatever you're showing, avoid certain kind of things, like avoid shows which have like fighting, hitting and all those things. Avoid shows like Coco Melon, which I'll say is like very famous among young parents and young children. But those kind of shows which are very colorful with music and other things, they are very overstimulating. There's a whole research which has happened behind that. So there are other certain kind of shows which I also say, if your child really wants to see, there are shows like Bluey. You have all these things are like good for children. They are less overwhelming. There are less tunes and colors and other things. Even if your child is watching that, it's not going to affect them negatively.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that you've spoken about the shows, tell us 5 Vidya approved toddler shows that kids must, or parents should, if they have to get their kids to watch, what would it be?
Yeah. So I'll say like I'll also suggest some, but I'll give you like few tips using which you can also assess whether the program which your child is watching is good or not. First thing is, it should not have any kind of foul language, hitting, biting and all those stuffs. Second thing is, if I give an example of any like rhymes or Coco Melon and other things, you'll see the scenes change very fast. It does not stay for the same scene doesn't stay for more than 3 seconds. When the scenes change fast, and you'll hear like at the same time there's a child giggling, there's a sound of the bus, there's a sound of the, so there are many things together at the same time. It's just to grab the attention of a child, but it's overstimulating for a child. So avoid any kind of shows which have that. So the kind of things which I always suggest is where there's a person, I mean real life person, because naturally you can't have that person can't be super fast and in showing things like Blippi. It's a very good show. It's a very educational show for children. If you want to go for animated ones, Bluey is really good. They have very muted colors of like blue, browns, which is like not stimulating for the child at all. And then we have Puffin Rock, that is also very nice. So we have certain things like this which are like really good, which you can try out.
So if I have to sum up, when you guys, so we have to really sum this up. When you are looking at screen time for your kids, do not look at it as just visual damage, because it's not only harming your child's eyes. What is also doing is overstimulating your child. It is decreased attention span, decreased social skills, delayed speech in many children, and of course not a lot of collaboration that happens. The fast pace of the frames changing, the animation, the speed, the multiple sounds that are actually coming are creating attention deficit in your children. So it is extremely important that when you are giving screen time, you're very wise about it and you're choosing the right time and the right quantity of time and the right shows to give your child for screen time.
True.
Parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.